Hello and welcome to Living Word, growing a family that experiences every promise of God. You're listening to another life-changing word from Pastor Scott Anderson. For more information, visit our website at livingwordonline.com.
We're going to start off in 2 Samuel 17:27. For Mother's Day, we did Coffee with the Greats, where we just took some of the great ladies of the Bible. And we're going to do Fishing with the Greats. And I'm loving this series that we're doing on Mother's Day and Father's Day. The idea is this: every year that me and my dad go back fishing, we get out there on the lake and cast the poles and begin to just sit and relax and soak up the good oxygen. And out of those times, great advice. My dad will sit and he'll just give a little wisdom, a little something will come out of that. And so the idea and the premise behind this is if you could sit on a lake with some of the greats of the Bible, what would they tell you? What advice would they have? Say, man, if I did anything, this is what I would do. Our first greats are going to be three brothers we find here in 2 Samuel. They had gone forth, and David shows up. His and his army is all tired, and they're exhausted from the battle. And so they show up in this little place here. And the three people that we're going to put in the boat here first is Shobi. Then we're going to put Machar. And I love the name Barzillai. And Barzillai, the Gilead from Raja. They brought beds and basins, earthen vessels, and wheat and barley and flour, parched grain and beans, lentils and parched seeds, honey and curds and sheep and cheese of the herd for David and the people who were with them to eat, for they said the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. I thought it was interesting for these three young men. They could have just brought a drink and maybe just a little bit of food. Yet they went so overboard for David and for the men. And I think if you had these three, Barzillai, and you had Shobi in the boat with you, and he said, give me some advice for life, I believe they would say to you today, do more than is expected. Always give more. When God gives you an opportunity to give, don't just give, but give more than is expected in this life. Because a blessed life is a giving life. They would say to you, I get it. The world says take and get all you can get from wherever you seem to go. But that's not a blessed life. A great life is one, instead of trying to get out of everywhere you go, I try and give. I'm always looking for an opportunity to give. It could be given a smile. It could be given an encouraging word. That we as a church, Living Word Bible Church, that we are those groups of people that go forth into our world and we give not just what's expected, but we give more than expected. Can you imagine? Come on, church. There you go. We don't go to our job and just do our 9 to 5, but we are a church that gives more than is expected. That we show up early, we stay late, and we only charge us for 8, is what my daddy always used to say. That we give more than is expected in our relationships and our friendships, and for our marriages that are out there, we give more than is expected in those. And you know what? For our children, when we send them off to the day, yeah, it's good, have a good day. What if I gave more than is expected? I gave a big smile, a big hug, an encouraging word, and I set them forth into their day ready to conquer whatever is in front of them. When I see somebody, I don't just give a handshake, but I give a bright smile, a smile that brightens up the room. That I am that person that I'm looking for people that I can reach down and pick up and I can encourage, and I'm bringing a positive word wherever I go. That whatever I'm doing, it could be in the Starbucks, could be in the Wendy's, wherever I go, I'm a person that God can use that always gives more than is expected. They'd say, that is the secret to an amazing life. You know, I try and live that. I try to always give more than expected. Like, I know a lot of pastors out there, they pay people to do their social media. I do my own social media. I take care of all the emails and all those things that come up, and I like to take the time. And here's the thing that I try to do. Some pastors are called prophetic, and some pastors are called, and they do healing ministries. I'm called to make fun. I make fun out of whatever I do. Come on, somebody out there. I do. I make life fun. You put me on a plane for 38 hours with my brother to Gulu, Africa. At the end, he goes, you made that fun. You're right, I made it fun. That's my gift. That's my talent. And I try to make fun in whatever I'm doing. Every once in a while in my emails that I get there on Facebook, I'll get a scam artist that's trying to scam a little bit. Come on, somebody out there. How many people know that scammers need fun too? Yeah. They do. Now, my goal with the scammers, and I accomplish this a very high percentage of the time, is I try and get them just to admit that it's a scam. That's my whole goal. That's my whole premise of this. And this is my most recent one from about a week and a half ago. And it started off this. So happy today, God has answered my prayers. This is what the scammer wrote me. So I just respond back, that's awesome, praise God, have a great day. He comes back with, have you heard of the Social Security $10,000 Arizona loophole? You can get $10,000 right now. I respond back, yes, I have. It is awesome. I like that. Because he kind of looked at that again. He goes, I can show you how to get $10,000 in a few minutes. I said, I already did it. It works amazing. I bought a speedboat and 2 cars. What's funny about that statement is you couldn't buy a speedboat and 2 cars with $10,000. So it took a little while, but his response back was, no, you didn't. So I came back, I go, yes, I did. You want me to show you how you can make $10,000 through an IRS loophole? He goes, no. So I didn't get back to him that day. I got back to him the next day, and I go, sorry, it took me a while to get back with you. Was on my speedboat. He goes, no, you weren't. So I said, the one I got with my $10,000 from the Social Security loophole. And he goes, you're a liar. There's no such thing. That's all I wanted. Just wanted that. Always give more than is expected in this life, and you'll have success. Number 2, the second person that we're going to put in our boat today. And it's hard to really do the greats of the Bible without not having Abraham in there. Genesis 2:1, let's go there. Abraham, one of the most successful people the world has known, came from literally having nothing to having everything, to being the father of many nations, to seeing some miraculous things happen in his lifetime. And we could go through all the different things that he could say in the boat, but if he could say one, if he only got one thing to say, I think he would say this today. Because he'd say, this was the most important thing that I did that brought the favor of God and got it activated in my life. Genesis 12:1 says, now the Lord said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family, from your father's house to a land that I will show you. That's the second time that God had said that to him. The first time, Abraham didn't leave, didn't do anything. And nothing changed in his life. Who you hang out with, Abraham would say to you, has the power to either take you to new places or hold you back. And the most important advice that Abraham would give everyone in this room is get around people who try and get your life to elevate, the people that want to encourage you to do more, to have more, the ones that are pushing you for excellence, the ones that, come on, somebody out there, that's who you surround yourself with. He'd say, I didn't listen to God and I stayed around the same influences. And that has the power to stop the favor of God working in your life. It wasn't until I got around the right influences, got out of the wrong influences, that things began to change. And if you hang out with the negative, you become negative. If you hang out with the people that are always telling you why it can't happen and it won't happen, well, I'm starting a business. Well, now's not a good time. No, I need to be around somebody that says every time's a good time when God's in your corner. Now is the time. You can do this. You can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens you. And you get around people that push you, pull you, drag you, do whatever they can to get you to success. And when you're having your little downer time, they're the ones that say, hey, get on up. You don't want to be around the people that keep you in a pity party and always pulling you and dragging you and telling you all the bad things and negative things and keeping you down, because you become who you're around. And if you hang out with people who are just getting by, you get by. But if I can hang around with some winners who are motivating and pushing and pulling, then my life begins to elevate to a place I didn't know that it could go. And Abraham would say in this room, you know who I'm talking about already. Right when I said it, you're like, so-and-so. You get them on the phone, and it's like 2 hours, and they have the same problems they've had for the last 3 years, and all they're doing is keeping you from your family and your purpose and your destiny, and they ain't never changing. They ain't never going to change. Abraham would say, you got to get around some people that encourage you. You got to get around the Joel Osteens, the Pastor Jasons, the Pastor Scots. Get around these people who tell you that you can do it, you can have it, that you can be happy, that you can be successful, that you can be blessed, that all the promises of God are right there for you in your life. You get into church, Abraham said, man, it's a picture that where he went is a picture of getting into God's house. And every week making sure that your family is in God's house. And every week that you're in a place where your kids come out. It's an anchor for your children. I was in church every week, and you know, when the world tried to pull me that way, it was still an anchor that pulled me back this way. They got to have that anchor in their life. Come on, church, you can be a little louder today than that. Third person we're going to put in the boat today is in Judges 6:11. Gideon. I think we all can see ourselves one way or another at some point or another in Gideon. Gideon, here we find him. Life's no good. He's hiding from his enemies. He's working one of the worst jobs you can know at the time. And life is not good. And even his outlook and what he says is not good for where he's at in life. And I think that we've all been knocked down a little bit, and sometimes we're licking our wounds a little bit, and we're sitting and we're having our little pity party, just like Gideon did. But I want you to get some advice from Gideon today. Let's pick it up here in Judges. Now the angel of the Lord came and sat underneath the tree which was in Oprah. Look at Oprah was around back then, which belonged to Joash. That's great, right? While his son Gideon threshed wheat in the winepress in order to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, the Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor. Now he's hiding from his enemies, right? He's doing something he hates to do. Yet what does the angel say? You mighty man of valor. Gideon said to him, oh my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us? And where are all his miracles which our father told us about? Right here in him. Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Then the Lord turned to him and said, go in this might of yours. You shall save Israel from the hands of the Midianites. Have I not sent you? And if Gideon was to get in your boat, he would say this: no matter where you are in life, God never sees you by your disappointments. He sees you by your victories that are up ahead. He'll never call you by your setbacks, but he sees something great in you. He wants you to get up off your backside and go forth in the might of yours. And you may not feel like, you may not be speaking like you are a mighty person of valor, but God sees you as a mighty, amazing person of valor who has been called to do something great, has got a purpose on their life, can go forth and do some great things. If you'll just allow God to do it through you, you can make a difference in the life that God has put you on this earth. Come on, church. We all have setbacks and we all get knocked down. But we want to be those people like Gideon who just get up. And we hear God's voice speaking to us. You mighty, amazing person of valor. I have designed you and created you for something great on this earth. And if you just sit, you'll miss. But if you go forth in this power that I have put inside of you, because the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is in each and every one of you. And if you allow him to, he'll take you forth into places you never thought that you could do, experience things you never thought you could experience in this lifetime. I know your parents and grandparents weren't able to do it because they sat on their backsides. But for many of us out there, if we'll grab a hold of it, we can go forth and accomplish our purpose and our destiny down here on earth. Every year we go out fishing. Me and my dad go fishing backwoods of Wisconsin. And there's a gentleman by the name of Herb. He owns the canoes that we rent from the flat-bottom boats. And Herb, when we started doing this about 25 years ago, back then, Herb was really old back then. So you can imagine, Herb is old. I don't know how old Herb is. I think he's got Social Security number 3, but he's been around for a while. And every year when we are going back, like when we're driving there, every year we're always like, I wonder if Herb's around. Like, you just don't know. I'm like, yeah, and every year he's there. And he's so happy and so excited. And it doesn't matter. Like, he lost his leg a couple years ago, and it doesn't matter. He's still carrying and doing and laughing and joking and just a happy man. And so you can get a proper picture of what Herb looks like. He looks like a Santa Claus if he was dressed up to go fishing. He has the big white beard, right? You got the hair, the jolly smile. In his beard is everything he's eaten in the last month. No, it's all up in there. Like you could tell, oh, last Tuesday, it's right there. And now Herb, because of his age, his hearing is atrocious. Like he barely can hear anything at all. And my dad, who's perfectly healthy, he's 72, his hearing is gone a little bit by the wayside also. So it's so much fun to sit in the back of the van and listen to Herb and my dad have a conversation. Because they're both talking about different things, thinking they're having the same conversation with one another. My dad's talking politics. Herb's talking about his dog, Sal. They both are enjoying their time. I'm sitting back and laughing, enjoying the entire ride. Herb dropped us off at our spot, and we had to get the big flat bottom boats off the thing. They're huge, big metal boats, and then we got to carry them down. I'm going to call it a mountain. It's about 25, 30 feet. It's not a hill. It's like super steep. And you're on, and you're sliding, and I got this, and Dad's always up in front, and I'm holding on. And if I let go, I get my inheritance, but I lose my daddy, so I got to hold on tight. And so I'm holding on, right? And so it's exhausting. It's a little bit, until you get on the river there. It's a little warm. You got right? And so we make it all the way down the mountain. And then once you get down the mountain, you gotta carry that boat another 30 feet through big old rocks and riverbed all the way to the river there. And so we get it all the way down. And as always, when we're coming down, the oars and a bunch of stuff spilled out down the mountain. And so I head back over to the base there to get the stuff. And Dad's fiddling on the boat. And all of a sudden, as I get to the base, Herb's up top. Normally, he just leaves, but he's up top, and he's all, Tom! I look, Herb! He's like, Tom! And Dad can't hear you. He's over by the river. He's fiddling with something. And so I said, you want my dad? He's like, yeah, Tom! And so I'm like, Dad! He don't hear me. Dad! And so I'm walking to Dad. Dad! I get it right up to him. Dad! I have to touch him. He's like, Dad! And I go, hey, Herb, he wants you. And so we both look up. Well, now Herb is staring off into space. So my dad's like, Herb! I'm like, Herb's never going to hear you. I said, I'll go get Herb. All right? And so I go get Herb. And once again, I got to climb the mountain to get to Herb. And so I start the trek up the mountain, sweat. Oh, my God, I get all the way up. Herb, I take a good breath. And, halfway up, I'm like, Herb! No, not the Herb. Get all the way to the top. Herb, I'm this far away. Herb, nothing. I touch Herb. He's like, whoa. I'm like, Herb, my dad. He's like, yeah. You want my dad? He goes, yes. And so we turn around, and my dad now is fiddling with the canoe again. And so he's not looking. Herb's like, Tom. I'm like, he's not going to hear you. I'll go get him. All right. And so I go down the mountain. Dad, nothing. Until I get right up and I'm like, Dad. And I'm like, Herb. And so we turn around, and Herb is looking up in the sky again. But Dad's like, Herb! I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I told my dad, I said, okay. I said, you don't stop looking at Herb until I get up there. Don't look anywhere else. I don't care if something's on fire. You stare at Herb. I'm going up the mountain for the last time. Stare at Herb. He said, I got it. I said, all right. So up I go the mountain again. And now I'm about broken. I am just so tired. I get about halfway up, and I think I got a little delusional. My mind began to race and thinking things, and I got to thinking, while I was going up the mountain here for this last time, I wonder if Herb, he's been around for like 100 years. I wonder if I'm going to get up there, and he's going to have some ultimate wisdom. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like that guru at the top of the mountain. You climbed up, and he has that one thing that changed everyone's life. That 50 years from now, when I'm sitting around with my great-great-great-grandchildren, I'm like, the day that made the difference was the day that I climbed the mountain, and Herb said this. And it changed all the Andersons' lives forever. It was so wise. And so this seemed to encourage me and give me a little more energy. And so I began to pick up my pace. Well, I wonder what Herb's got for us. Herb's got something amazing. I get to the top. Herb, he don't hear me. Herb. I get over and I touch Herb. And I'm like, Herb. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, my dad. And sure enough, Dad was looking. Herb's like, Tom. My dad's like, Herb. And so now the anticipation is building in me. What did Herb have to say to my dad at this moment? And Herb looked down, he goes, bye. I just sat down and I wept. That's all I did. Goodbye? All that for goodbye? You got to be like Gideon. When you get down and things don't go the way, and you did all the effort and you climbed the mountain and there was no payoff, you got to get up and know that if I keep climbing and keep doing, that God is going to reward those. Come on, God is going to reward those that keep going and keep doing. Our next character that we're going to put into the boat today is Ehud, number 4, Ehud. I love the story. If you get time, I encourage you to read the story. It's like a 007 story. It really is. Ehud is just you could make a movie of the Ehud story. Israel had been under rule of this evil country for many decades, and just evil and very oppressive. Now, Ehud, it says, and I thought it was interesting, it says Ehud was left-handed. And I thought, well, why would you put that in the Bible? I mean, you don't say, hey, Peter was right-handed. You don't say Paul was right. Like, you'll never see another spot in the Bible where they even mention the hands. But if it's in the Bible, there's a reason for it. And so I had to study it out. Why did it matter? And come to find out that in the day, much similar to today, that, it's more common to be right-handed than to be left-handed. But back then, it was considered to be a disability to be left-handed, that it was a setback, that it wasn't anything good whatsoever to be left-handed in that time. And so Ehud shows up to meet with the king, the evil king, and so he's sitting around and talking, and he says to the king, he goes, hey, I got a secret for you, king. And the king's like, a secret? He's like, yeah, I got a secret, but I can't tell, all these people in here. I just got to tell you. And so the king's like, all right, everybody out. And they said, all right, well, we got to search him. So they searched him, but they searched him as if he was like anyone else, that he was right-handed. And so they searched where the sword would be if he was right-handed, but once again, he's left-handed. Everybody leaves the room. He pulls the sword out where the left-handed would hold their sword and hide their sword. He kills the king. He escapes and go get the army, and the army overcomes, and they beat the entire nation, and now they're free for almost 80-some years. Israel becomes free. What an incredible story. But here's what Ehud would tell you and I in the boat. That what the world tells you is a disability, God will use for greatness. That God is strong where you are weak. And He loves to take those things that you think are not right with you, and He wants you to know today that God designed you as a masterpiece. And the Mona Lisa is one of a kind, and you're a Mona Lisa. And what the world told you was a setback and something that was wrong with you, God will use to do something great in your lifetime. Come on, somebody out there in the church. It's what makes you different. It's what makes you a masterpiece. Right? 5'4" could be a setback in a sense, but my whole life, I look at it as an advantage. I have an advantage. I could go and pay for child movie tickets until I was in my mid-20s. Come on, somebody out there. You put me in a room with 30, 40 other pastors, 5'10", 6 foot, 6'2", tall. Who are people going to remember? I stand out, my friends. I do. See? I do. People know. There'd be a whole room of pastors. They remember Scotty. I remember Scotty. And what may look like a disadvantage has become my greatest advantage in this lifetime. Come on, somebody out there in this church. And God will use your weakness if you allow Him to be your strength. Whatever that thing is about you that you're like, oh, this, and I don't like this, and I'm different in this way. Once again, that's something that God, if you allow Him to, God will use it in your life. Number 5. Number 5, I got to do Zacchaeus. Come on, somebody out there. Got to do some Zacchaeus time. Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. And you read about Zacchaeus and you find out that he was very frowned on. Nobody liked Zacchaeus whatsoever because he was a crook. He was a tax collector of the day. And he was stealing and taking and he was manipulating people. No one liked Zacchaeus whatsoever. And so Zacchaeus shows up and he wants to see Jesus, and he's too short. And so he goes up ahead and gets up in a sycamore tree. And Jesus, while he's walking along, sees Zacchaeus. He says, hey, Zacchaeus, get down here. I want to have supper with you tonight. And wouldn't you know that all the people began to murmur, the religious of the time, the ones who, on the outside look like they're so pure and so holy, begin to talk. What is this Jesus doing that He would go eat with such a sinner, with such a horrible, bad person? And if Zacchaeus could get in your boat, he would say this to you. That, you know what? I know that oftentimes you feel like that you're not worthy. But Jesus loves to eat with the unworthy. He loves to hang out with the sinner. And the worse the sinner that you are, the more that he desires to be around you. And I know that religion and sometimes the Pharisee of our day wants you to think that you are not worthy to have a dinner. But that should make you inspired today to know that he wants to have a relationship with you no matter what you've done, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're involved in. That Jesus desires a relationship with you. Well, you don't know all the things I've done. Zacchaeus was a pretty bad guy. But of all the people that were around, Jesus didn't say, hey, let me go hang out with those that think they're perfect. No, he said, let me go hang out with the one who is very imperfect. And the more imperfect you are, the more he desires a relationship with you. And you've been trying. See, Zacchaeus may have probably, I'm sure most people, we want to be good people. Zacchaeus wants to be good. But we have these addictions and these things that we just can't stop doing. And we stay in the circle of condemnation where we just keep feeling bad about ourselves and bad about what we do. And I keep doing these things. But Zacchaeus, when he hanged out that night with Jesus, Jesus was the answer that got him to give up all of his wrongdoings. At that night, he said, I'm going to give back all the money and all the things that I've stolen 4 times over. And those things that you've been trying to break off in your life, you can't do it on your own. But if you'll start hanging out with Jesus, he will give you the strength to stop doing those things. You'll wake up one morning and you'll no longer have the desire to keep doing those things that you know are setting back your life. You can't do it on your own. We feel like if I'm not good enough to draw close to Jesus, but he says, you are. And if you'll draw close to me, I'll help you run the race of life. I'll help you. Come on, church out there. Come on. I will help you. No matter what you've done. The enemy knows this, and so he works overtime on making you feel like you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that the voice of sometimes the religious leaders around make you feel like you have to be absolutely perfect. No, the more imperfect you are, the more that Jesus wants to hang out with you. That's Zacchaeus' advice. We're going to close with number 6, the thief on the cross. Thief on the cross. There was 2 thieves next to Jesus on the cross. And one thief, he was like, well, if you are the Savior, why don't you get down out here and save us? But the thief that we're going to put in our boat today was the other thief. And we find it here in Luke. Then he said to Jesus, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus said to him, assuredly I say to you, today you'll be with me in paradise. Now, to give you a proper perspective and to kind of make this story real to you, of all the people in the land to crucify, they could only do 3. One was Jesus, and then you have these other 2. So you can just think that these were the worst of the worst. Of all the people in the land, all the criminals in the land, these were the absolute worst who had done some of the worst things. Yet, if you could put this thief in your boat, he would say, I don't care how bad of things you have done in your past. You're one decision away from eternity with Christ Jesus. You're one choice away. One choice away. And I guarantee you that you have not done half the things that this thief has done. Yet he was just one quick decision away from eternity. The enemy wants you to think that you have to be good enough to get into heaven. But this thief will tell you that your works will never get you into heaven. It's just believing in Jesus Christ, that he is the Son of God and died on the cross, not for some of your sins, but he died for all of your sins. And you can't work your way in, and you can't be good enough. All you have to do is believe. Everybody bow your heads and close your eyes. If you're here today and you want to have an eternity-changing moment, it's available to you right now. We're going to say a prayer. If you say it with me and believe it, you have it. That's easy. That's it. And just like the thief, I don't care how many bad things you've done. I don't care how many bad things you're going to do. It's not about working your way. It's not about being good enough. It's about believing. And we'll say a prayer. If you believe it, you're saved. Done. Your eternity is secured, just like this thief. And maybe while we're doing this, maybe you're like Zacchaeus, and you desire to draw closer to God, and you felt like you were not worthy to have a relationship. But God's been speaking to your heart and tugging at your heart today that you are worthy to have a relationship with him. And you won't be able to quit that stuff that you want to stop doing on your own. But if you'll draw close to God, that God will help you have the strength to get rid of all those things in your life that you know are hindering the things that are important to you. Everybody's going to say this out loud so you won't be embarrassed. Say it with us and believe it, and you have it. Everybody out loud, please. Heavenly Father, I ask you right now, forgive me of all of my sins. I ask you, dear Jesus, come into my life. Be my Lord and my Savior. In Jesus' name, amen.